I said yesterday from this chair that I had a lot of questions for Shohei Ohtani. Mm-hmm. And in his press conference, where we learned throughout the day what it would be Shohei reading a statement. And the statement, it took about, 10, 12 minutes for him to read, because he would read off a portion and then we would get the English translation as he was reading in Japanese. And man, speaking to an international audience. He's speaking to his native country audience, and he's speaking to his adopted nation of baseball audience. And we're all wondering what's going on, man. And I'll be straight up. We didn't get too many answers, other than the fact that if we were wondering which was the story, and I have to call it a story because the initial report came out from ESPN. Tisha Thompson, who I believe is slated to appear on this program later on this week. They can't wait to speak with her, because the initial statement from Ohtani, the initial statement from Ohtani's interpreter, as presented to ESPN through Ohtani's recently hired crisis PR manager, and assume with the story fully vetted through his team, completely opposite to what the story that came out from Ohtani's camp and Ohtani himself on the Wednesday of last week. Tuesday, it was interpreter saying, I gambled way over my head, and my friend Ohtani bailed me out. And that's why the funds that wound up wired from Ohtani's bank account with Ohtani's name on it, that's how it wound up in the hands of the illegal bookmaker here in Southern California. And then the next day, it's like, no. Ohtani had no idea about this. He was robbed. Well, that was the only question, is which one was it going to be? And we assumed it would be the I was robbed, because that was the last statement we had heard from Ohtani's team last week, and it also the one that does absolutely clear Ohtani of A, being a gambler, and B, having any sort of legal or tax exposure to what the hell was going on. And obviously the legal exposure is the one that's most crucial, since that's the one that can potentially get him suspended for Major League Baseball. This was Ohtani, a snippet. We're not obviously playing much from a 12-minute statement, but this is what he had to say on Monday.
まずはじめに、僕自身は、何かにかけたりとか、誰かに代わって、そのスポーツイベントにかけたりとか、それをまた頼んだり、っていうことはないですし、僕の口座からブックメーカーに対して、誰かに送金を依頼したことももちろん全く、ありません。
So I never bet on baseball or any other sports, or never have asked somebody to do it on my behalf. And I have never went through a bookmaker to bet on sports.
結論から言うと、彼が僕の、口座からお金を、盗んで、なおかつ、みんな、僕の周りもそうですね、みんなに、嘘をついていたっていうのが、結論から言うとそういうことになります。
Just to kind of just go over the result, in conclusion, Ippei has been stealing money from my account and has told lies.
Okay. So the bed has been made, and it is after. Would you have? Let's put it. Let me ask you this question, since you're the gambling expert, if you will, of the Rich Eisen Show.
Sure.
And I can't believe you asked me to wire that much money to the illegal bookmaker here.
I'm sorry about that, Rich.
Well, actually, no, you robbed me. And that's the issue I have, is how in the world was the first story laid out there for 24 hours, and then wait a minute, I was robbed.
And they expect us all to just buy that.
Well, and that's the issue I have. My question for you is, would you have believed this more? Because I know you have a problem believing this. Would you have believed this more if the last story was the only story from Ohtani's camp? If it came out Ohtani was robbed of $4.5 million by his interpreter, who snuck into his bank account because they're so tight, they've known each other for a long time. He was able to somehow, some way. And, you know, take that much money and Ohtani never noticed it was missing.
I think none of it sounds believable to me. None of it. So $500,000 payments 9 different times,
which appears, if that's how much the amount is, yes.
The thing about like the bookie scene is like if you're losing that much money and you're not paying it off, you would get cut off.
Yep.
No bookie in their right mind would keep taking your bets.
But what if the bookie is receiving funds from what he believes to be a Shohei Ohtani?
Now if he thinks that Ohtani is backing this guy or this guy is making the bets for Ohtani, then you keep taking it.
And they keep losing.
Also, he didn't lose every single bet he made, right? So how much has he been betting? He didn't just go 0 for 500. He had to have won a few times. So how much is the action here? Just none of it sounds believable to me. None of it.
Well, don't you think this is going to be found out, certainly if there's a federal investigation involved? That's the other thing, too, is we don't know who's actually looking into this thing, other than Major League Baseball. We have no idea.
Do you trust Major League Baseball to get to the bottom of this?
Well, they kind of have to if the feds are also looking into it.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, if the feds are involved, this ain't good, man.
Well, what this means, though, is that Ohtani's now going to go and play baseball until we hear from Major League Baseball or the feds step in. Like, he's made a statement. It's just like, that's it.
Done.
I understand the first statement from my interpreter as presented to ESPN by somebody I have hired or my team has hired on my behalf from the crisis PR firm or what have you, that statement from the interpreter was allowed to stand for a good 24 hours until apparently lawyers come in, and Ohtani said he had no idea that this guy was doing it.
I mean, they were laughing and joking together last week.
In the game after he had spoken to ESPN.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
which makes you think, like, maybe he didn't know.
Maybe.
Right? Or at that point in time, he was still understanding that the story had been placed out there that he had covered for him and thought still nothing of it because he's just a good guy covering his buddy's debts until somebody actually explained to him how serious this is. But that would also mean that the I was robbed and he's lying about it as a cover story.
Right.
That's the issue, is the initial story is different from the second one that he is now stuck to. And that's the one he's sticking to, or that's the one it's been all along. And I have no idea what the explanation of why the first stuff came out.
Right.
Because Ohtani's camp had to know what the interpreter was saying, right, to ESPN. They couldn't have been totally in the dark on that. That's the whole question about it. Boy, I did not have this on my bingo card for Ohtani's arrival with the Dodgers at all. And it's a total bummer because I love the guy. He couldn't have been nicer to my son. He's nice to everybody, and I hope that's not true. But I have no idea what to believe.
No idea what to believe.
Because, and from the interpreter, too. The interpreter's story is I went to UC Riverside. I worked for the Yankees. I worked for the Red Sox. And the school and both teams go, who is this person?
Right.
New phone. Who this?
Right.
Or are they running for the hills? You know?
Unreliable narrator. And then now you have 2 different stories, and you're just like,
and he's gone completely underground. Where is he?
Well,
catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.